Okay, so I'm going to try and explain to you what everything is. This is cutting celery. It's an herb. Those tall ones over there are Arctic kiwi. All these really kind of bushier types. These are a mulberry. We have Nanking cherries, fennel, more celery, a houseplant with a fig and a comfrey in it as well. Several different kinds of basil. And I have some gooseberries in there that haven't started yet, and then those in there, I just clipped those yesterday. Some more gooseberries, stevia plant, lemon balm, and then a lot of figs mixed in. So you can see these containers work well for everything. And something I hadn't noticed is that with these clear containers that are the garbage plastic, you can actually see the roots when they come out. Sometimes with the cuttings, you don't know if you forced them, which means that they just leafed out, or if they're actually rooting. Whereas with these clear containers, you can see that they're rooting, you can see the roots, which is really nice, because sometimes after they've leafed out, they start to pull back a little bit, turn a little bit brown, and you're not sure if they're actually dying or if they're okay and they're going to pull through. And so these clear containers, these little pop containers, can be very nice. Hey, Piggy. What you doing? All right. Don't knock over my camera. Go find Kaya. I know you think those are her boots, but they're my boots.
We will have to go in today to get the rabbit food.
There's nowhere to go into, honey. It's Sunday. Hey guys, we are in the middle of March. I think today is the 16th, and we still have the wood burning stove going because we still have snow outside, but we are into the 30s now, which is very warm for us. So we're in the 20s at night, in the 30s during the day, and so the snow is starting to melt a little bit. I am taking out some mulberry and some fig cuttings to the hotbed today to get them planted, and Paige has partially moved the rabbits out of the wider hotbed greenhouse so we can start filling that up for new plants. Okay guys, so I just let the geese out. Here we are in the hotbed greenhouse, well, one of the hotbed greenhouses, and it's 30 degrees outside. It doesn't feel cold to me because we've been in the 20s, but the greenhouse itself feels cold right now. It's about the same temperature, maybe even a little colder than it is outside, but underneath this frost cloth it is very, very warm. And so what I'm out here to do today is to take, I've got these yogurt containers with the bottoms cut out, and I'm going to stick these in a spot underneath the drip line. I'm not going to show you because I need to do it quickly without lifting up the frost cloth and making everything cold. So I have a container of figs and mulberry cuttings, which are very, very easy to start in a hotbed. The reason I want to put them inside these is so that their roots don't spread laterally. I don't want them to spread into the bed too much, because then when I need to take them out and plant them, it'll damage the roots to take it up. By putting them in something like this, it keeps the roots close to the plant and allows me to pull them up as if they were in a pot. but they do need to be directly underneath a drip line, because otherwise, when you enclose plants in something like this, if the bed isn't thoroughly enough watered, this will actually dry out, and when you're starting starts, you can't have them dry out. They have to stay moist. Okay, so you can see I've got them sunk in the ground right there next to the drip line. I'm going to put the plants in, and then I'm going to water. So these guys came about a week ago. I just had them in water. They are not happy in just the water. They smell to high heaven. I needed to have been changing the water every day, and I wasn't. So here's my figs. And I'm going to put type with type. I'll do my darndest. Type with type. So these guys are going to go in here. And they're a little slimy and a little stinky, but they might come back. There you go. That's what they're going to look like. And then these guys, these are the mulberries. These are a dwarf mulberry. These ones are really pretty amazing. They are really sturdy little plants. And I haven't done it this way before. I've done it in different ways before. I've done it in the hotbed where they were in like a cardboard box to hold the moisture in. But I haven't done it directly in the bed inside a yogurt container. Now you see I've got all these guys left. And I got to figure out a way to take care of them too. And I'm not sure what that way is going to be unless I just stick them. I guess we can just do the experiment of see if when I have to take them out, if I can get them out. And I'm just going to put them here at the base. You can see the drip line. So I never water in the hotbed unless there's bright sun outside, because the cold water chills the hotbed momentarily, which you obviously don't want. And it's much more humid and much warmer underneath this frost cloth, even just to my hands. The guy that I get my cuttings from is in Alabama, and our lovely little starts we got from him have survived in Idaho. They're just really quality. So there we go. I'm going to pull the cloth. Oh, I got one more. Sorry. One more. It's better to have them in the middle of the bed than on the edge. In the middle of the bed, there's more heat. So the ones that I'm really hoping make it are right there. The ones that are experiments are just along the water line coming closer this way. But the further they are away from the middle of the bed, the less heat they get. I'm going to take that down because it is so much warmer under there. So there's my rusty water. If you are going to put figs and stuff in water, hold on. If you are going to put figs and other cuttings in water, the water needs to be changed every day, and I totally spaced it. It's good to have more than one hotbed going at any time because you fill them up really quick. It's really fun to grow things at this time of year when it's 4 degrees at night, Fahrenheit, and teens and 20s in the day. It's really amazing to come out here and see green food. The book that I recommend for this kind of gardening is Hotbeds by Jack First, and also Stand Up and Garden by Mary Moss Sprague. Hopefully this was helpful. I'll try and find some footage of when I did this before and how successful it was. And make sure to go check out our Patreon if you would like to support me. I think I'm making $140 on Patreon a month now, and that's pretty exciting. And if you're interested in the plans for how to make a hotbed, I do have them on my Etsy store. So thanks for popping in. We'll talk to you later.
Diversify the soil food web, the microbial community, with above and below ground plant diversity. And of course, there's so many ways to do that This is the forest garden. My wonderful late husband, enticing me to leave Montana and come to California, said, "Oh, Helen, you can have an acre of the lower orchard, and you can play with some of your research ideas." So in every other row, I grew annual crops and some perennials, and I'll talk about this in detail later on in one of the evening sessions, I think. But there it is. We have the diversity of deep perennial roots. We have some shrubby roots with things like artichokes, and then we have the annual roots. We have some strawberries back there, so some low-growing perennial roots. But then here's just a regular old garden. This was my first garden at the farm in Eastern Oregon. And you can see, well, maybe you can't see. There's just lots and lots of diversity. Oh, look, there's some bare soil. I'm getting ready to seed something. But mostly, what do you see?
Green.
Green, a ground cover. And so we have diversity above ground. What do you think is going on below ground? Yes, and more importantly, we're seeing different root architecture, aren't we? We're seeing things that go deep, we're seeing things that are fibrous, and as well as, and why is root architecture important?
Minerals.
So the deeper taproots can pull up minerals and bring them up to the top, especially if you top drop the shallower roots.
Think like, perfect, think like an earthworm. What would you want if you were an earthworm? You want the soil to be broken up, you want oxygenation, so you want some of the deeper roots. So, but not only do we want root architecture, we want different species because we want different root exudates. And we're going to look at some microbes tonight, and tomorrow we're going to meet them and see what they do. And we're going to see that the different root exudates allow colonization of a microbiome. Everyone knows what I mean by a microbiome. It's kind of a new cool term now, of species-specific microbial symbionts. Symbionts meaning an interaction between the plant and the microbe. Okay? We're going to talk more about this on Tuesday, a lot about this on Tuesday, but for now, we're just introducing it as part of our first principle. Then our second principle, disturb the soil as little as possible and create year-round refuges. So here is our living mulch in our orchard, and you can see, well, can anybody identify that blue flowered plant? Chicory, excellent. And red clover, so we have blooming things, we have seeding grasses, so we have refuges. That's what I mean. We have a sequential bloom and food sources, and we have just cover where these insects and spiders can be. Oh, and speaking of those spiders, here we have, it kind of looks a little funny here, but it's wonderful. This is a kabocha squash, and it's hard to see because what's on it? A spider web, and that's one of those incredible wolf spider predators. How cool is that? Do you see that in many vegetable fields? It might scare some people to see their food encased in spider webs, huh? But to me, it's glorious. So, number 3 is the one that we're going to develop a song by the end of the week for, right? Keep a growing root in the soil year-round. And there's a couple of pictures of my farm in Montana and the orchard in California, actually, and how we did it which is, this is a purely legume, all red clover, and this is a species mix of about 25 different species, grasses, legumes, and weeds. And this is later on, after the legumes started naturally moving to a more diverse perennial living mulch with legumes and grasses and weeds. So why do we care about these living roots? Really, why is Helen making such a big deal about it? Especially looking out there underneath all this snow, why does she care? Well, as we mentioned, it really is one of the major food sources